Hey everyone, welcome to Dawnbringer for October 16th, whatever day it is today. I think it's Saturday. I don't know, I'm having a hard time keeping track of the days of the week and days of the month and whatever else those things work as. Uh, so today was more interesting than it could have been, definitely. Obviously, the result wasn't exactly what I expected or predicted, which didn't work out well for my fantasy predictions exactly. I was pretty convinced EDG were just going to come out and wipe the day and go on from there. But that's not what happened. T1 beat EDG, and then we had the little spoiler upset at the end with 100 Thieves ruining EDG's day, knocking them into second in the group. So that was interesting. There's a bit of drama to it. It didn't feel like as much drama as it should have for a couple of reasons, and this is why in the written version of this, if you head to oracle.elixir.com and kind of read what I write about it there, I mean, I'm not that happy about the 100 Thieves upset. I think a couple of years ago, under somewhat different circumstances, I'd be a little more excited about it and be like, oh yeah, they stuck it to him, they beat EDG. Look, NA is not that bad. But like I said in the written version, I think given that this has happened before multiple times, that an NA team comes out, rolls over early, and then when they're out already, they come and they get a big win, and like it just doesn't feel good anymore. Like I've been there, and it doesn't make me feel any better. It doesn't change the outcome. And I think also the fact of kind of the fact that 100 Thieves should have lost to DFM, and DFM kind of just threw, and so I don't think 100 Thieves earned that win, so that makes it harder to feel good about it. And also just still lingering a little bit on the high of Cloud9 and what they did makes it kind of like unfairly to 100 Thieves. It makes it seem not as good in comparison, of course. So I don't know. I'm just left feeling a little empty. And like FBI in his post game interview on the last game of the day was saying kind of the same thing. Like he feels more sad than happy. He's not happy with their performance. It's not much of a consolation, and that's kind of the vibe I get too, which is unfortunate. But EDG did end up in second in the group, which is very interesting to see how that influences obviously the draw. This means like I'm trying to think of what the matchups might end up being for Cloud9 and for like if whoever makes it out of the other groups. Maybe I think I would rather get drawn up against a T1 in a best of 5 than against EDG. I still feel like EDG are really, really strong. But both of them look like good opponents now, so it's hard to really pick between them. There are definitely some implications there that are interesting for the tournament. And it is really great to see FBI and Huhi, with lots of help from Closer and from Abadaga, they did some really good stuff. And they showed that the lane dominance that they pulled off in the LCS and smashing people 2v2 with, obviously with drafts that and help from their teammates to do it, they could pull that off against the best in the world. And that's really impressive and good to see. So, that bot lane duo is one 100 Thieves can continue to build around for the long term. But I don't know. There's just not a whole lot to. It's not really like you don't feel full from it. You feel kind of empty. Like you just had some sugar appetizer. Now you still need the real meal. So yeah, I mean, sugary appetizer, that doesn't make sense, but. You ate the dessert and you haven't had supper. How about that? How's that? That's much better, right? And the other thing that I talked about a little bit, and I think I need to wrap this in some context because, I write my takeaways as the day is happening. And obviously the later in the day it is, the more context I have to wrap around it. And sometimes I'll write one a little earlier on. And after the second game of the day, so it was, 5 a.m. for me, and I don't want to make excuses or stuff, but people were saying, or even earlier than that, look, if 100 Thieves lose here to T1, then the last 3 games of the day don't matter at all. They don't mean anything. And I didn't apply my own independent thought to that and think, well, is that actually true? I just figured, okay, there are some voices kind of complaining about this, and to my understanding of it, okay, it cements the top 2 teams coming out of the group, so yeah, it doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And I shared some of my own thoughts about the format, and I think those thoughts about the format, and the downsides of this, the classic, the way Worlds has always done groups with the double round robin and playing out the whole second round robin on a full day and all of that kind of stuff. I think there are some downsides to that, and one is that you get these games, and we did have a couple of games that didn't really mean anything, or at least felt like they didn't mean anything because the outcome seemed so predetermined. Like T1 beating DFM, look, it could have gone the other way, and that could have affected the tiebreaker scenario as well. But it felt like it never was going to. Even with Arya, who deserves a big shout out as well for solo killing Faker and getting such a strong lead in that game and just having a great day overall. Even with that, it felt like it was kind of a foregone conclusion. And of course, you would have thought 100 Thieves and EDG felt like a bit of a foregone conclusion too, until the game actually started and 100 Thieves actually played well for once in the tournament. But like, so if you take apart the fact that I kind of overstated some stuff, and I edited it right after posting, realizing the take that I had at 5 a.m. was not what was true at 10 a.m. But if you take that off a little bit, I think the issues with the format are still there. And I think there are other formats that Worlds should be looking at and making a shift to. There's a lot of weight of history behind the way Worlds has done things, and obviously they chose that in the first place for a reason. It's a lot better or more predictable, I think, from a broadcast standpoint, from being able to put teams in time slots where their fans can watch around the world, knowing how many games you're going to have in a day, short of tiebreakers, and just the run of show and all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of benefits to the way this is set up, and you have to prioritize things between competitive and entertainment and production, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, I think there are some really big benefits to other approaches as well. And the one I was putting out there, and I'm not the first one to say it, is what they do in the GSL or ASL and in StarCraft, with the double elimination kind of mini tournament within each group. So, I mean, you can look, I linked it in the article so you can read a little more about it if you're not familiar, but I think that approach would be really interesting. Always has a lot of drama to it. Every single game does matter. As long as you win, you will get out. As long as you win the next game, you always have a chance to move forward and get out. Even if you've lost going into it, you'll never have a game that can't advance you. And I think that has a lot of value to it that should be considered or explored. So, I mean, format discussions there are other people who can dig a lot more into that than I can, but I think it's one that is worth kind of having out there and having evaluated. So yeah, hopefully there will be, I mean, games with a little more pace and action to them would be fun. I think I enjoy a good macro game as much as any other analyst, but these ones felt a little mundane today for most of the games, not all of them. So I'd like to see a little more pace, a little more excitement, especially to wake me up at 5 a.m. And obviously I'd love to see a better result for NA for TL when that comes. But in the meantime, we've got some other things to see and some other teams to cheer for. So we'll see how all of that goes. We'll take another try on the fantasy front, but these groups are turning out to be really hard to predict. So I might have to go a little more adventurous to kind of catch an unexpected outcome. But we'll see. I think got a little spoiled by doing so well in play-ins in the early parts of groups in fantasy, but we'll try to catch up to that again. So that will be up on the Patreon as well later today. So those are my thoughts. I hope to have something a little more upbeat and exciting and celebratory. But I don't know. Today I just wasn't my favorite day of Worlds. So, but yeah, good luck to T1 and EDG in the next round. And good luck to 100 Thieves as they figure out a very tricky off-season for them. Congratulations to Den Nation Focus Me. They've had a lot of things to celebrate, and I think today was, a day that won't feel so great to them, but they achieved some good stuff. Yeah, and that 100 Thieves off-season, we're going to have a lot more to say about that as it plays out, and especially as Worlds kind of thins out toward the end of the tournament, have a little more time to think about what are 100 Thieves going to do. Maybe there will be some rumors starting to percolate. And we will talk about that a lot because I'm always excited about free agency, which is less than, I just realized October 16th means free agency is less than a month away. November 15th is the day. So, it's going to be like Christmas in November.